You know, people wouldn't believe me if I said that a Korean lady, an immigrant, comes to Chicago, lands up in Bridgeport, opens up a shop and a beer bar, would play a large role in transforming a neighborhood. Well, it happened here. Maria found this little traditional dive bar in Chicago, turned it into a home away from home for all the neighbors. And over time, because of her hard work and her conspiracy to bring her children together to work on a business, that commitment from day one is the reason why this place exists. Back in the day, when it was called Kaplan's Liquors, this was your typical Chicago slashing, meaning it's a bar with a liquor store in it. Over time, people just kept calling it Maria's. So this is the original bar, and it was an old school, very simple bar that was probably installed in the 30s. I'd worked here since my mother opened up the place. Spent a lot of time babysitting old men, watching baseball games and Jeopardy. This is like the patron of the joint here. This is the boss. So
after my husband died, then I took over, but I didn't even know how to draw the beers. I don't drink, I don't even know what's what. And it was tough for me, raising two kids, working. It wasn't easy. I cry every night when I go home.
It was known as a very tough neighborhood, so certain places you don't go. And you know, Bridgeport had that reputation at the time. So when my mother came here, we were concerned about her safety.
If you treat the people right, always treat you right. My believing in my life comes around and goes around. I always tell my kids.
She would share all of her food. She'd often lend people money who needed it. Whatever goes around, comes around attitude, she managed to charm the neighborhood, even those elements that were a little bit more dysfunctional and probably more dangerous to most people. There were families of gangs living down that street, down our street, and there would be a lot of shootings right up from here all the way up to Maria's. Her sense of hospitality was very innate, very effortless. I think she won neighbors over by just being herself and showing that she was just a part of this community and wanted to provide a service to the community. So I want to get a steak cooked up, like Rudy style with mustard. Bars historically have been a third place for people ever since they've existed. It's their home away from home. A little respite before going home, be connected to their community, see old friends and stuff. You know, throughout many taverns in Chicago, it was important for owners of bars to provide a free lunch. I distinctly remember my brother always putting kimchi on whatever the hell he was eating. And he got a bun and a Polish and he threw kimchi on it and we started laughing about it. Like super Marszewski move here. We started doing these Korean Polish barbecues on the back patio. We would offer customers a free Polish if they purchased a beer. And it was always something that we did whenever there was like a big event, a big fest, etc.
You know, Korean Polish street food, after a while it caught on.
Like a great schmuck designer?
Then after a while, we got too busy, no rooms for the people in.
As we started doing this more often, different chefs would come in and do guest kimchi. And one of these chefs was Juan Kim, who was a guest kimchi chef who brought in bulgogi brisket pierogi roasted on the grill with his kimchi. And then we were freaking out. We were blown away by it. It sort of influenced our decision to open up a restaurant.
Are we different? Yes, the theme is different. Even though it's street food, even though it's casual, it's still important to me to have balance.
We wanted to make something that was contemporary, kind of reflected this kind of philosophy we have of making Bridgeport the community of the future. The menu at Kimski was developed through that kind of base experience of these Cocoa barbecues. And then Chef Juan took it beyond those confines and started exploring different ways of combining these food.
Some of the menu items kind of derive from Mike and Ed's upbringing.
The cuisine that we make here is actually a combination of this Polish and Korean heritage that we have. At our table, we would have Polish sausage and sauerkraut next to Korean banchan, and we would mix all this food up at the table. It was Maria's interpretation of serving American food through a Korean-style service.
It's those kind of memories that I think is so important about food. Is you ask someone like, what did you eat growing up? You know, they'll answer immediately. Those are the kind of items that I want to kind of mimic and get people excited about.
It should just be what we know. which is this type of food from our youth.
There isn't any exact science or measurements to it. It really is just all kind of peasant
Improvised.
food. Yeah, it is all peasant improvised food, and it's weird combining two flavors. When you're thinking about it, but when you actually taste it, it's like it makes sense. Cabbages, kimchi, sauerkraut, pierogies, mandu, like sour cream, soy sauce, sesame seed oil. Like those are all things that taste good on their own. Why wouldn't they taste good all together? This thing started to make sense. It's all about balance, right?
Kimski is definitely Maria. She's been turned into like a brand and a logo almost.
People love my place. Or definitely young people are coming in here. All neighbors change.
Being inspired by what breweries do for their own neighborhoods or cities or towns throughout America helped us make a decision to create this spot. And doing this was definitely inspired by being at Maria's. So this is our new Mars Community Brewing Company's brewing facility. Good clarity too. We make a lot of different beers here, very wide range of beers. You name it, we're trying to experiment and make new styles of beer to kind of add to the conversation, add something different to what brewing is here in the city of Chicago.
Mosaic is popping in that quite a bit more than some of our previous batches.
The last leg of our project here, which is our tasting rooms. Maria enabled us to create this brewery. It's a family endeavor on her latest and greatest achievement in what she's done here in the community of the future. We want to be a place that's a magnet for activity. The most important thing is that it helps continue rejuvenate the economy here. It helps provide more cultural options to people, continues to put Bridgeport on the map of one of the coolest neighborhoods in the country. Years ago, there weren't many reasons to come to Bridgeport. And because of places like Maria's, people come down and spend a little time here, either during the weekday or the weekends, exploring the different restaurants and bars and different kind of social and cultural activities here. That bar basically was a giant experience of many people's lives. It's almost like a center for this kind of conversation.
Maria's packaged goods and community bar. We want to be a part of that community. We don't want to exclude anyone. And if we could help out in any way possible, we usually do. We want you to feel welcome.
It wasn't something that my brother and I thought about doing, was to work together to take over the bar and redo it. But it makes complete sense. I mean, my mother spent her entire life doing everything she can to take care of my brother and I. I think she wanted to maintain that kind of familial connection and taking care of each other. So we work very closely and try to work together in order to continue a tradition of taking care of each other.
So that's like the Korean ethos, right? Like you work all your life so your kids have a better life. Yeah, she's kind of a gangster, actually.
I think my kids changed in the neighborhood. I should be proud. Also, they should be proud of mother too. Don't you think?